Hey girl,
Hello.
how are ya?
Doing good.
Awesome. Well, I am super excited about this. I think this is going to be cool and it's going to be neat and different and it'll give people that aren't in coaching or that, have been working all day the opportunity to get some awesome information for their commission, salon or spa, things of that nature. So, I think it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think it's going to be awesome.
Opportunity to get some awesome
Sorry.
information. Me too. No, you're good. All right, guys. Hey, hey, and welcome in. Thank you so much for being here and joining us today. Whether you are watching live on Facebook or YouTube, or you are joining us from our main portal, maybe you're even catching the replay. This conversation is for salon and spa owners or booth renters who are booked out, exhausted, and wondering why things still aren't adding up. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Bree, the co-founder of the Beauty Biz Agency. I've been coaching salon owners for years, but before that, I lived what I now teach, literally. I went from being a solo stylist to running a salon that was barely staying afloat to completely rebuilding it into a high performing commission based business that no longer depends on me being behind the chair. We generated over $2 million a year and it runs with structure, with leadership, and with profit, and quite a bit of profit at that. So I don't just coach from theory, I coach from results. I know what it feels like to be booked and broke. I really, really do. I know what it takes to shift from survival to true CEO leadership. And that is a little bit about what we are going to unpack today. Here's the thing, I'm not doing all of this alone. Chandra is here with me. She is a fellow salon owner and a partner in the Beauty Biz Agency. She has led a team through this chaos as well. And she brings a grounded, real world voice to this conversation. Chandra, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I'm Chandra. I am a salon owner and I've been working with Bree for a little over a year, I think now, coaching salon owners, and it's absolutely amazing. I've turned my salon around from, being definitely negative profit, very little systems, not a lot of direction, into a profitable salon with an amazing team, and we're killing it. We just, got Salon Top 200 for the third time since we've made all these changes. So it's definitely been a journey, but you guys are in for a treat because we've got some amazing information for you coming your way. And really quick, I just want to give a shout out to Rose, one of our members. She's popped on here. So good to see you, Rose. Glad you're
Hey,
here.
Rose. Yeah, for sure. So I really wanted to have this conversation today because let's just be honest, there's nothing more confusing than being fully booked and still feeling broke, anxious, and completely exhausted. You look at your calendar and you think, how in the heck am I this busy and still not okay? You are running to the bank to cover overdrafts 1 minute and literally reposting a cancellation promo the next, even though your week looks slammed. It's not because you're not working hard. It's because hustle alone is never, hear me loud and clear, it will never create profit. It's not going to happen. And being busy is not the same as being successful. I think that is one of the biggest lies that the beauty industry tells us, Chandra, is that being busy is being successful. And it's just not the way that it is. I lived this, you lived this for a while. I don't know about you, but I thought more clients would fix everything for me. I thought if I just posted more, if I just added more days, if I just ran another promo, I would finally be able to catch up. But instead of feeling better, I just burned out harder. And here's what I had to realize, I think the hard way is when your business model is broken, no amount of clients is going to fix it. Never going to happen. It's actually just going to speed up the burnout that you feel. So, would you agree with that? I think that's important to see how you feel about that.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I thought the same thing. It was always just, if I can just get more clients, if I can just get more revenue, we're going to be fine. But then, that might happen and it's still just a chaotic mess. So 100%.
Yeah. So let's break this down a little bit. When I say broken business model, I mean this. You are undercharging. You are saying yes way too much. You're not tracking what is actually working in your business. You are afraid to probably raise your prices or set policies that protect yourself and your time, you're spending more money reacting than you actually are doing leading. I know that's kind of harsh, but it's true. Listen, I've done all of it. I've done all of it. But once I slowed down and I looked at where the actual leaks were in my business, in my life, in my leadership, everything changed, like everything. So that's what we want to talk about today. Chandra, I want to open this stuff up for everybody that's in here with us and watching us live. But I think it's important if they had to guess where their biggest leaks were right now, they probably couldn't tell us. So that's something I want everybody out there to think about. Is it pricing? Is it boundaries? Is it structure? Is it retention? Is it mindset? What is it? Drop it in the comments. Let us know because we are curious. Chandra, what was your actual breaking point? That moment where you realized that being book wasn't actually the main goal of being a hairstylist, a salon owner, all of those things.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was working behind the chair full time. I had a fairly large team, and I was never getting ahead. It was always just staying afloat or doing okay, but we never were really getting past a certain point. And I think my breaking point really was when I just realized, like, I can't keep going like this. I can't keep working countless hours every single week and seeing absolutely nothing change and nothing come from that. And so that was really where my turning point happened. I just couldn't do it anymore. There's no way I could do all of those things and try to grow this business.
Yeah, I agree. I think the shift for me happened when I actually stopped asking, how do I get more clients? And I started asking, how do I make more per client with less chaos? That was huge for me because it's about raising revenue per guest, not just filling your books, not just filling your calendar. It's about retention, it's about structure, it's about boundaries, it's about pricing that actually matches your expertise. And if you don't know your numbers, if you are not paying yourself first, or if you are just taking whatever is left over, and this goes for solos out there too, you shouldn't just be paying yourself whatever is left over at the end of the day. That's not how business works. If you are avoiding those price raises because you're scared, it doesn't matter how booked you are always going to feel behind. Always. So, I mean, let's just say you do $100 service, Chandra, but after product cost, booth rent, commission payouts, whatever, taxes, all of those things, you're really only keeping about $40, right? Let's just say.
Yeah.
But what if you add, what if you add a $15 upgrade that only takes 5 minutes and half of your clients opt into that? That's an extra $300 to $500 a month with zero extra burnout. And this is where we get so messed up, right? We see more clients, more clients, more clients, more clients. And that's what marketing is. That's all they tell us. Not saying marketing is bad in any way, shape, or form. However, if you don't have business systems built first, marketing is essentially going to do you no good. We talked about this today on our coaching call. It's about making more per client. I would much rather work 3 hours a day and make $1,000 than work 15 hours a day and make $1,000. I don't know about you, but that's how I feel. I feel like these are the micro shifts that turn exhaustion into sustainability. I really do. For those of you out there, what would your business look like if you saw 20% fewer clients, but made 20% more per visit? How would that change your life? That, my friends, is the kind of math that will free you up completely. Chandra, you changed your pricing structure and started leading your team with more strategy. We made all of these changes in your business. What shifts did you see both financially and emotionally when you did that?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely saw a huge revenue shift. And it's crazy because I remember when we first started doing it, I was panicking because our client count was not as high as it usually was, but yet we still had higher revenue numbers. And so I think that was a big eye opener because it's like we didn't have to work as hard, we didn't have to hustle as hard, but yet we were doing more revenue than we were when we were trying to get every single person in the door and doing crazy deals or who knows, just to try to keep people coming in. And so that was a really, really big turning point when we changed our pricing structure. We started focusing more on that client experience and add-on services and things that we could do to make it better and to increase that average ticket for sure. And it's less stressful on your team. It's less stressful on you when you have those things in place, because then they're not feeling like they're getting so overworked too, just trying to make those bigger checks and trying to make more money. So all the way around, it's definitely a beautiful thing to make that switch.
Yeah, 100%. What would you say to someone who is watching this live, watching the replay, who feels maybe terrified to like raise their prices or lose clients, even though they are struggling to make ends meet? Because we hear this all day, every day.
Yeah, I think you have to really just look at what your end goal is, and then you have to make those strategic decisions as to, if I'm going to get there, I have to raise my prices, or I have to change my pricing structure or how I'm doing things, because otherwise I won't ever get off the hamster wheel, right? So I think it's just really, you have to make that mindset shift, and you just have to kind of get out of your own head and make that change.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So we have a few questions that I want us to answer. So I'm going to read those off really quickly, and then give people some action items that they can do to actually start getting out of this mess that they've created for themselves. And I can say that because I did it myself as well, right? So one of the questions is, how do I know if my prices are actually profitable or if I'm just barely scraping by? You want to take that one?
Yeah, that one is a big one to unpack, because there's a lot that goes into that. And so I think you have to really look at everything that you do, all of your expenses, everything that you have, and you have to make sure that each service is profitable based on what you're putting out there, how much money you have going out. It is about product cost and things like that, but you really have to build in every single expense into what your pricing structure looks like, because you could be losing money and not even realize it if you don't have that dialed in and that tightened up really good.
For people that are still confused about that or not sure how to, now, those of you in the BBA world, you know what we say when we, or you know what we mean when we say CPH and all of those things. But for people out there watching who aren't sure and they hear the words cost per hour and they have no idea what that is, what advice would you give to those people?
Yeah, I mean, you have to really figure out what your cost per hour is. So how much does it actually cost you for to keep your doors open and to run your business for every hour that you're open? And so that's breaking down every single thing, your payroll, your rent, literally everything, and figuring out how much you're paying per hour to really run your business. And then factoring that into your service timing and your service pricing and all of those things, so that you can really know exactly how much money each of those services you're offering is costing you.
100%. What's a good way to raise prices without sounding rude or losing people? Now, I know Jiminy Christmas, all I see all over Facebook all the time. You always laugh at my quotes, but or my sayings, but especially right now with the tariffs, right? With all of these things go, people are freaking flying off the handle with everything. But what's a good way to raise prices without sounding rude or losing people, which you're never going to fully not lose people because that's always a possibility. But how would you explain that they go about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think people understand to some degree, right? Like, I think as long as you're just very honest, and we have to have a price increase for whatever the reason, whether it's you know your costs have gone up or different things like that. But as long as your service matches the value of what you're asking people to pay, I think it's really pretty easy when you do ask them to pay more money for those services. If your value isn't there, I think that's where you end up running into issues with people not understanding why your prices are going up, or not feeling that that price change is warranted. And I see that on Facebook all the time too, and people get upset about it. But it's like, if you're not offering something that's worth what you're asking people to pay, it's going to be really hard.
100%. I would agree with that 100%. And I think that's something that has really, really affected our industry in a lot of ways. Not trying to call anybody out, but we have people coming fresh out of school charging $400 for balayage. You know what I mean? And you definitely have to earn your place in this industry. Like it takes a lot. We got a question that says, I am booked out, but still not making money. Where do I even start?
Yeah, I would start looking at your pricing. Like, what does your pricing actually look like compared to what it costs you to run your business? Because that's usually one of the biggest leaks that a lot of salon and spa owners have when we first see them, is they think their pricing is great, or they think it's, they just are booked all the time and they're charging what they're charging, but they're not realizing that those prices actually are not even set up correctly to make a profit. And so that would be the first place I would look. And then I would start looking at your expenses and how much
Mhm.
money are you spending? Like, what's actually leaving the business? What's actually going out every month? If you're spending more than you're profiting and bringing in, then you're going to have that problem forever. So those are the two first places I would check.
Well, and this is something that we see all the time, especially in this industry. We are spenders, salon owners, hairstylists, estheticians, we are spenders. Like it's something that we have to coach people through all the time. I think one of the biggest things for me, if I could go back and talk to my younger self, because a lot of people are young in this industry right now, right? And they're starting out and they're like, oh, I'm making 10K a month, blah, 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 blah. I'm just going to spend and have fun. And yes, you should do that to an extent. But please learn from us. You will have to retire one day. And this is something that our industry is horrible about. Did you know? I mean, it is less than 10% of commission salon owners or hairstylists or things of that nature that actually have retirement built up.
Mhm.
That is so sad. So you've got to get those finances in order. You've got to do it early because if you don't, you are going to. People say that day will never come. I never thought I would get old either. And here I am. So there you go. All right, here's another question. How do I stop feeling guilty for not taking everyone who wants to get in with me?
I mean, you just have to stop. That's a hard one. You shouldn't feel guilty, and if you're building a team, you should be really focused on building your team and start putting those people with them and stop stressing out about you having to take everyone. I mean, it's hard. I had my clientele for over 25 years, and you have those relationships with people and you learn, you build that up over all those years, and it's like a divorce, like you're letting people go, and it's really hard sometimes, but you have to really get into your mind and realize, like, this is my future, this is what I'm planning on doing, and I can't be killing myself taking every single person all the time. Even if I'm stressed about revenue, there has to be a better way. And so definitely, you just got to shift your mindset to what your bigger goals are, and it's probably not squeezing in every person on the planet.
Yeah, and I would add to that. I think another thing that we do in this industry is we never put ourselves first, our personal lives, our health, any of it. And so, if I could give any youngsters out there advice or any commission salon owners who are wearing all the hats still that need to change that up, put yourself first, your family, your personal life. Remember those things, put those things first. And when you look at it from that perspective, you don't feel so guilty with clients because I would rather feel guilty about a client if I had to than guilty about my family 100%. And when you kind of switch that viewpoint, it really, really makes a difference. Okay. What do you do when clients don't respect your schedule or your pricing?
Yeah, that one can be challenging. I went through that a lot when I was actually pulling out from behind the chair. Not so much the pricing, but the schedule situation. I think you just, at some point you have to just cut those people loose if they're not going to be serving your higher
Mhm.
purpose and what you're trying to do. And if they don't agree with your pricing, it just makes room for people who are willing to pay it. And so I think you have to kind of bite the bullet and not stress about it and know that you're good enough and that you'll build up more people if you're going to lose anyone, but it's not worth your sanity to be hanging on to people like that.
Yeah, and you'll definitely love what you do even more when you find clients who are aligned with you in every single way, shape, and form. And those clients are going to respect you, your pricing, your boundaries, everything about you for the most part. I promise you, when you start seeking out those people or finding your tribe, you think you love the industry now, you're going to fall in love with it all over again when those are the only people that you serve. So if you have clients even now, this is kind of off topic, but clients that you don't align with or clients that, just kind of get to you, get under your skin a little bit, make sure that you're doing something about that because there is no reason to go to work every day and hate what you do. There is no reason to go to work and dread having to do what you do all the time. All right, Chandra, what's the first system that you would recommend I put in place to feel less chaotic?
I think your financial system, what you're going to do with your, how you're going to do your finances and coming up with a budget and a plan would be one of the first things. Because when money's flowing, things are easier to handle and it's easier to follow your cash flow and not stress out about everything else. So that would be my first recommendation.
Yeah, definitely. This question sounds like I wrote it like years ago. So it kind of plays off of what you just said, but do I really need to track all these numbers or can I just focus on doing good hair?
Well, do you want a business or do you want to be a hairstylist? That would be my question to you. Because yeah, you have to focus on the numbers. That's your business. That's what you're building. That's what you're growing, and that's your future. If you just want to do hair, that's cool, but that doesn't correlate with growing a successful business. So you got to make that choice, and you have to pay attention to the numbers. I understand. I'm in the industry, and I didn't like them either, but it's part of the whole deal.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's so important, and I think a lot of times we don't pay attention to them because we are scared of them, right? When we see the reality, it's not so much that we hate them, because I mean, I'm one of those that said I hated them forever. It was more about fear for me and not understanding than it was anything. Once I started understanding a little bit, I got a little less scared. And then it was almost like a game, like, oh, how can I cut here? Because I want that profit to go from 20 to 25%. Oh, okay. Now I'm addicted to this 25% and my 20K a month salary. How do I get it up from 25 to 30? Meanwhile, here's the thing. If you're running your business right and you're making that kind of money and that kind of profitability, your team is making really, really good money and they have a great work-life balance, because that's the way it should be created. Okay, what's something small I can do to keep more of my clients coming back? I like this question.
Yeah, I mean, I would say focusing on your client journey. What's your client experience looking like? That's People will pay more for the client experience than they do even for having great hair or great, facial or whatever that looks like. So that would be, I think that's one small thing you can focus on and get consistent with, and that will change a lot.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it doesn't matter if you are a commission salon owner, commission spa owner, or if you are in a suite. Once again, it doesn't matter. The client experience has to be there. However, if you're a commission salon or spa owner, you need to make sure that your team has the same client experience through every person, right? They can show their personality, show their differences in that way, but it needs to be seamless from me. Let's say Chandra and I work together and she needs to be doing the exact same consultation that I'm doing, to the point of if you blindfolded a client, they would not know who is behind them doing their hair aside from voice or something like that. So very important. If you have a suite, client experience is everything. I would say even more so because I feel like in the suite setting, and yes, I can say this because I've done it, so has Chandra, it's more lackadaisical. Like you get really lazy to an extent. You're always, good at your craft, but other things kind of tend to fall a little bit. And it is a proven fact that the client experience is really the number one reason that people visit certain businesses. It's not about the hair, the skin, the nails. It is about that client experience. So, how do I get better at rebooking without sounding salesy?
I mean, I don't think it has to sound salesy. I think it's really just about training your clients in a way. Like we really focus on that and making sure that that's part of their kind of their guest journey. Like that's part of what we offer at the end. It's about accommodating their time and making sure that they get in when they need to get in and being able to maintain what you're doing on them within that time frame. And so I would approach it more from, it's us trying to make sure that their experience and everything is going to continue to stay seamless instead of like making it sound salesy. I think it's because that's what for me, my clients, when I was behind the chair, they had to book or else they weren't getting in. So it became more of like we've got to make sure we get you in because I don't want you to have any issues, instead of being too pushy in that way.
Yeah, 100%. And everything that we say at the Beauty Biz Agency is it's all a recommendation. It's all part of the service. And I feel that pre-booking is even the same way, right? In order to maintain or look or feel the way that you want to feel, this is what's required. If a doctor tells you you need to do that, blood work every 6 weeks, 12 weeks, mammograms every year, you're going to do that for your health. It's the same way for your hair. And so when you actually shift your perspective as the stylist, as the technician, as the owner, when you shift your perspective to see it in a different way, it changes everything. 9 times out of 10, the client doesn't even think that you sound salesy. It's all right up here in this mindset of yours. So that is something that I would definitely say to try. Speaking of mindset, here's one. How do I stop feeling stuck when I know I need to change, but I am terrified?
Wow, that one's kind of hard. I would say you have to what's your purpose? Like you got to get real with what you're trying to do and where you're trying to go, because if you're terrified to move in that direction, then I feel like you might not be as sold on what you're wanting to do, you know? So I think it's really putting that first and kind of getting out of your own head, and this is what I want, this is what I want to work for. I can't be afraid of it, and I have to get myself in a place where that is my focus and that's what I'm going to work towards, whether I fail or not. If that's what you want, I think you just have to get out of your head and you have to just go for it.
Yeah, I am one that is terrified of change. I hate change. I wouldn't say I'm terrified of it. I hate it. Let's just put it that way. It is not something that I like. I am a creature of habit in every way, shape, or form. Probably really OCD in everything that I do. But I think when it comes to change, if you don't change anything, nothing's going to change at all, right? And that's such a huge, it sounds so simple, but it's such a big statement. If you don't take one simple tiny step, and that's all it takes, figure out one small piece of action. I don't care what it is. Maybe it's waking up an hour earlier and going through business TikToks or a business podcast or something of that nature. One small thing can change everything. So that's what I would encourage you to do. Take one small action step tomorrow and just keep doing that day in and day out, and you will see that change is not always as bad as you think it is. But the thing is if you don't do anything at all, you will be in the same spot or in a worse position 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And I know because that's exactly what happened to me. I lived it. It was like Groundhog Day over and over and over again. I lived it for so long. So, all right, Chandra, what if I know my business isn't working, but I don't really know what's wrong or what's happening?
I mean, I would, my first advice would always just be to find someone to help you, honestly, because I think it's really hard sometimes to figure that out on your own, especially if you've been already going through it and trying to figure it out, and you're just not finding the things that are going to make things change for you. And I think that's what I did. I think getting help, finding a mentor, finding a coach, or even just somebody else in the industry, even that's successful that you want to get information from. It doesn't have to be a big, commitment necessarily, but start finding out, who you have in your court that I think can help you get through that and help you figure out a good direction to start going in.
100%. We all need mentors. We all need people to look up to, right? That's life. It's starts that way from the day that we're born. We need help. And I think that's a really you need your tribe, you need a community. You will be so much more successful when you are able to find that. There are so many business coaches out there, so many coaching agencies out there, and I would say probably all of them offer some sort of free or complimentary strategy call session where they can even just talk to you in the beginning for free, once again, and help you kind of line that out and maybe figure out what that is. So take advantage of that and try to figure out where it's at so you can see what you need to do, what you need to change, or where you need to start working. Because if you don't grow now, you may run out of time and things may get really, really bad. So, all right, the last question that we have is how do I shift from just being a stylist to thinking more like a business owner?
Yeah, I think it's making that change in what your goals look like and where you want to go. Because if you stay behind the chair, which I know because I stayed there way too long and had to get pulled out like
Yes, you did.
crazy. But once you start making that shift and you make those changes, your business starts to take off very quickly. And so I think it's just shifting your mindset to realize, like, this is my main goal. Like you said, retirement. You want to be able to retire. Do you want to be able to, stop doing the hard labor part of the job and start being able to, make it easier on you? I think you have to make that mindset shift, and you have to start moving more into that CEO role, like we talk about all the time, as opposed to the service provider role. And that's the only thing you can really start doing if you really want to get your business to really grow as quickly as you can.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we combat all the time, right? Is people thinking that they can be a technician or be behind the chair full time and still see their business grow. I'm not saying their business is not going to grow, because it will, but it is never going to grow to the capacity that it can when you are actually leading, coaching, and guiding your team and doing the things that CEOs need to do. I use this analogy all the time, and it's so true. You don't see the CEO of McDonald's flipping hamburgers, cooking fries. Like, you don't see it. They have a role. It is vision, it's strategy, it's strategic planning. It's the types of things like that that are going to allow you to grow your team, grow your business, and grow your wealth for you and your family, your legacy as you move forward. So we appreciate y'all's questions so much. That was awesome. Super fun. Have a few action items for you guys. So if you are feeling this way, you're booked, you're burned out, you still feel broke, don't know what's going on, do a 30-minute business reality check. So look at maybe your next week of appointments and ask yourself these questions. What am I actually making per service? So not how much are you charging, but what are you actually making per service? Are you booked with the right clients, or are you just booked? That's a big question. People do not realize it. I remember one time I was speaking at an event, and I was saying something, and a girl asked me a question, and she was like, "Why would I ever turn a client down when I need the money?" That is running your business out of a scarcity mindset. That's all it is. You deserve to have the clients that align with you. You deserve that. Okay, the next question is, what services drain me and which ones light me up? Really think about that, because we don't need these huge, elaborate service menus. We can keep it tight and right, and it'll be okay with that. So this is just going to help you start seeing where the burnout is, and where the burnout and low profit is really coming from, I guess you could say. Action item number 2, raise your revenue per guest by $10 to $20 in the next couple of weeks. So pick one add-on, one small service bundle, and start offering it or recommending it to everyone. No pressure, no big sales pitch, just a simple, hey, would you like to add this today for an extra $10, $15, whatever it is. All it'll take is an extra 5 minutes. See what happens. This tiny shift, it can increase your weekly revenue without adding any new clients. People all the time go straight to marketing instead of doing these small things, or they say they try these small things and yet they really don't. So really, really try it and see how it goes. Think about, in this economy, how an extra $300 a month even would help you out at this point. Okay, action item number 3 is track your revenue for at least the next 7 days. So write it down, how much you made per day, what you kept after your expenses, and how many clients it took you to get there. If you don't know your numbers, you can never fix your profit, period. You really can't fix anything, but you definitely can't fix your profit. Action item number 4, choose one retention strategy that you're going to implement. So start rebooking at the end of every appointment if you're not doing that. Start rebooking during the color processing time. Change things up a little bit, but definitely make sure that you are rebooking every single person or asking them. Send one thoughtful follow-up message to every guest within 48 hours. Create a VIP client list maybe, and love on them with a little bit of extra care. That's going to take your guest experience up a notch as well. So retention is where true growth happens, not just marketing, but in retention. And number 5, cut or shift one thing that is completely draining you. I don't care what it is. Maybe it's a service you hate doing. Maybe it's a client that stresses you out. Maybe it is a boundary that you keep breaking. Whatever it is, make one decision that is going to protect your peace this week, because that, my friends, is leadership. That is what it takes. So you don't have to do everything all at once. Maybe just pick one of these action items, one small shift toward structure, toward peace, and toward profit. Because being booked out and being burnt out isn't the end of your story. It's not. We have seen so many people overcome this. It's literally just the wake up call that you need to get things in order. With that being said, Chandra, what you got?
I think that sounds all pretty good. I do have one question that just popped in, though. If we want to just do one more question real fast and we can answer
Yeah.
her.
What you got?
We have somebody that wanted to know if there's alternative sites to Indeed to find quality staff. And they're using social media right now, but they just feel like the leads from Indeed have not been very great lately. And yeah, I think definitely social media is a really great tool to start looking for, especially service providers, and running small ads even on social media. Very low cost ad is a good way to get in front of more service provider type people, as opposed to some of those other Indeed or ZipRecruiter and things like that lately. So I just wanted to answer her really quick.
No, yeah, I love that. I think that's great. Yeah, there's a ton of those sites out there, but I would definitely use your social media. And more than anything, what I would do is really, really create an associate or an apprenticeship program in your salon or spa. Get really, really involved with those cosmetology schools and create a wait list. Here's the thing. When you start creating systems in your business, when you offer career growth plans, when you offer great compensation, when you offer your employees, when they can make great money, work very few hours, have little to no responsibility besides coming to work, taking care of their job and going home, and they get paid really, really well, and you're offering the great things, you will have people that will be seeking you out instead of you having to seek them out. I think for me, that's when everything really started to shift. And I was like, light bulb, like, this is so much easier, right? If I had somebody who gave me 2 weeks notice because they were moving away, or let's just say up and quit the day of, called me and was like, I'm not coming in today, I quit. Cool. I was no longer like in this horrible panic because I had people that I already knew were on the hook. One piece of advice I will say to everybody out there is always be recruiting. If you run out of space, figure out a way to double shift that station or do whatever you need to do, but always be interviewing and always be recruiting. 100%.
Cool. Yeah.
Yes, yes. All right, guys, if this hit home for you, then you know where you're at. I mean, literally, you know where you're at. What we want you to walk away with tonight is you don't need more clients all the time. You need more structure. It always boils down to structure. You need systems that are going to keep your guests coming back, spending more, and making sure that they're rebooking. You need boundaries that are going to protect your time and pricing that reflects your value and your business systems. And you need to know your numbers, period. Period. No guessing at all, because your decisions, when you know your numbers, they are going to be rooted in reality and not reaction. And salon owners, hairstylists, we are notorious for living in that reactive state. So I think that's really, really important. Chandra, what is one thing before we wrap up you wish you had done sooner in your business that would have saved you so much time, stress, or money?
I wish I would have stopped providing services so much sooner and focused on the things that I needed to focus on sooner, because I think if I had done that, I would have gotten myself to that position that I'm in so much faster and with a lot less headache.
I agree with that 100%. I wish I would have done the exact same thing, because when I was able to do that, it took me from $350,000 a year to over $1 million a year to 2.3 the next. You know what I mean? So, and there is no way I could have ever accomplished that being behind the chair. Never would have happened. Here's the thing, being booked, it shouldn't mean being broke, right? It should mean you've built a business that gives back to your life, not one that drains the life out of you. You deserve more than survival. All of you out there, you deserve strategy. You deserve peace and profit. And that starts by doing the hard, honest work of shifting that mindset, looking at your numbers, and leading yourself like a CEO, whether you are solo or you have a team. Even if nobody else sees it yet, right? You still have to be doing that. It's very, very important. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We will be doing this on the first Monday of every month. And we hope to see you back. You can submit your questions at, tell them how, Chandra.
Yeah, you
Or
can either
email.
you can shoot us a message on social media, on either Instagram or Facebook at the Beauty Biz Agency, or you can shoot us an email at admin@thebeautybizagency.com. We'd love to hear your questions and we can answer those for you on air.
Absolutely. And definitely check out our website, www.thebeautybizagency.com. We have a ton of free resources that you can utilize that I promise will help you elevate your salon or spa. And we have complimentary strategy calls. So sign up for one of those. Let's see where you're stuck so that you can get yourself out of it, or we can help you do that. With that being said, hope you guys have a great night. We'll see you soon.
Yes. Goodbye.
Are we good?